are now doing what is Atma. We have seen it now over and over again. What is the benefit or advantage to the knowledge, to the one who has the knowledge of Atma? What is the advantage compared to the one who does not have the knowledge of Atma? क्या उसको कुछ लाभ है, उसको कुछ पाया है? Knowledge of Atma, what is the advantage of knowing it? The greatest advantage is what this book is unfolding in simple terms and general terms. If I summarize it, human being is riddled with sorrow, grief, attachments, sufferings, self-doubts, which is caused by or intercepted by some happiness, some peace, some joys, some expectations, hopes. So every human life is like a seesaw internally. Sometimes you're on the higher end, and if you've gone on the higher end, you're bound to be on the lower end at another point. And then again, you go back to the higher end at another point. So a human being seems to have an inner conflict constantly going with reference to what is it that keeps me peacefully stable. Every human being is in a constant search for a stability of peace. That he's searching, tries all methods again and again. The common factor is that wants to get the stabilized peace. It should last. It's not that the human being does not know what peace is. That's not the problem with a human life, human being. They know what Shanti is. But the problem that seems to be there in every life is that Shanti does not sustain itself. कुछ ना कुछ हालात होते हैं या कुछ ना कुछ हो जाता है that the disturbance sets in again. Yeah, situation brings it or your own inner being brings it. The advantage of knowing Atma Vidya is that it is ironical that while human being goes through so much of suffering, mental, other living beings also do, no doubt about that. The advantage is that it is only in a human birth that Shanti that one is ever seeking stabilized. Not that I want to know Shanti. We must watch the words carefully. Is human being in search of Shanti? No, because we seem to know what Shanti is. Our ashantata comes from the fact that the Shanti doesn't last. That I do get happiness, but it doesn't last. That I do have my joys, but they don't last, etc. So the advantage of Atma Vidya is in the human birth alone is this availability of peace possible to be discovered in the sense of abiding in it. Discovery is not discovering peace. Discovery is discovering that I can abide in it, that it is in my hands, that it is subject to my purusharth. It is subject to my pursuit. It is subject to my will. It is subject to my desire for it. What we saw as mumukshutva. So, in a human life, this is the unique feature that we are enabled with. That you can discover yourself abiding in a peace that is unbroken. And it cannot be something which you do not know of. So it is a conscious state of abidance in a changeless state of peace. What is the advantage? That is what I want. So how do I know that it comes with Atma Vidya? Because the fact I do not know myself is what makes me search abiding peace outside. I keep looking for changes in the world. I keep looking for things that I think if this happens, that will give me joy, etc. So all that it amounts to is, the more I am established in Atma Gyan, the more I have in me the control, you may call it, the possibility, you may call it, the option, you may call it, to be with abiding peace, independent of anything happening outside. Situations and circumstances and things have to change. But does the change have to bring about a change in me? Atma Vidya solves that once and for all, that possibility being there only in a human life. There is a great advantage to know it. What is the disadvantage? Means those who don't know it, that conscious choice to abide in peace is still left to be discovered. I hope this point I am conveying clearly. What is the advantage of knowing Atma Vidya? The advantage is I have it in my will, in my purusharth, my capacity or my abidance in constant peace, unshaken peace. I can abide in it, which means it's a very big statement. Which means हम जिंदगी में ourself as a living entity, all that today one finds, as I had said before, anger, depression, anxiety, fear, attachments, conflicts, insecurity, jealousy, all kinds of things that disturb the mind, disturb a person. What is disturbance actually? Loss of peace. Now, is that loss of peace my nature? If I do not know that I have a control over it, I have a willful possibility over it, that I can also I'm repeating myself. The possibility of discovering myself abiding in an unshaken peace comes by knowing what my nature is. Because when I say I am angry, I am disturbed, I'm believing that to be my nature then. When I'm jealous, I'm in conflict, I don't know, I'm uncertain, etc., etc. The disturbance is what I think is my natural state. When I know that my natural state is not all this, it's incidental, it is actually just by the way. My disturbed mind is incidental nature, is not my real nature. And what is my real nature? My real nature is Atma. Atma kaha. Unless and until I get absolute clarity on the words and not have any imaginary, illusory meanings to it, which are only self-generated, coming from my own desires maybe, coming from my own wants maybe, but the meaning which is only as is conveyed. Atma kaha. But knowledge is always pertaining to something which is evidently there within your experience. ज्ञान उसी को कहा जाता है कि जो है वो अब पहचान लिया आपने. अज्ञान है कि जो है और मुझे पता नहीं है. When I see the snake and I have ajnanata of rope, then I am only seeing the snake which is giving me all this disturbance, loss of peace. Actually, it's very interesting if you just observe closely. Peace is your ever nature. आपको कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता है. This is a very difficult statement for people to accept. Peace is your natural state, even now. The only thing is that we lend our peace to a lot of conditions. 1 minute. Because we lend it to a lot of conditions, we tend to lose it. But that loss of peace is not a real loss. It's the loss seen while you saw the snake. So what is actually Agyan? Agyan is, while I am actually seeing the snake, which is my experience, I am not recognizing it correctly, and I am, instead of seeing the rope, I am seeing the snake. My experience actually is, I'm repeating my words, my experience actually is I am seeing a rope. मेरी आंख जिसको देख रही है ना, वो एक्चुअली में रस्सी है, मगर वो मुझे दिख नहीं रही है एज रस्सी, मैंने पहचानी नहीं उसको. My experience is actually of seeing as is, जो है, मगर somehow उस वक्त, it could be the light play, it could be my mind was preoccupied. Somehow in that moment, I did not see it correctly. And I imposed upon it something else. And the minute I saw a snake, what was there before was a peaceful mind. And now instantly I have got a disturbed mind. I'm disturbed. So Gyan means, what is Atma Gyan? Atma Gyan means that nature of yours which you don't have to work to actually create. Atma Gyan is your nature which you already are as ever peaceful. Non-recognition of it is what has brought about the sense of individual disturbance. So, advantage of knowing Atma Vidya is earning the possibility, getting that availability to yourself to abide in already what is your experience of permanent peace. Till you know it, you are constantly afflicted by the snake vision. So insecurity, fear, anger, they are cyclical. एक जाता है दूसरा आ जाता है एक जाता है because my constant state of peace is not what I am aware of. So Atma Vidya makes me acutely aware of this already existent state of peace, which is not restricted only to my waking state. It is essentially my unconditional state, my nature, and a sakshi, recognized as a sakshi through the three states, while I sleep, while I dream, while there is waking. That sakshi atma, when I know who I am, I recognize it, I have earned immense possibility. I've opened, it's like, opening the doors to something that you were not, it was all Khulja Simpson. What was that Khulja Simpson story? That Khulja Simpson, the Sara Gehna Piche, treasure house behind that. All it needs is that mantra there, Khulja Simpson. And what is that mantra Khulja? The minute he says Khulja Simpson, and the door opens to this infinite treasure that is accessible to you. In the same way, Atma Vidya is that treasure mantra which opens that treasure of peace within you, which already is there. It's just that I don't recognize it. But does it come without Purusharth? No. That would be absolutely, again, leading a blind alley. If we think I can get peace, discover my peace without my Purusharth to know who I am, because it is only in the absence of that knowledge that I am disturbed. So it is subject to Purusharth. So what is Atma Vidya? Aditi, you had a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My question was, when you talked about our real nature being of peace, and then you said you only associated negative, emotions like anger, envy, fear, insecurity. Are there any like what about like being ecstatic, overjoyous? I mean, is it an up way and a down way, or is it only a down way that you
No,
balance it?
it is an up way and a down way, and they both are two sides of a coin. You cannot have
Yeah,
one without the other. So
yeah,
if you've
yeah,
had an up, so whatever you have as an up way, keeping a sense of individual, all our sense of individual success, individual gains, individual, even when there is felt really, no doubt about it, there's no denial of it. Remember in Mithyatvam, we say that it's not that it is not there, but it is there as a temporary reality, no doubt about it. So all my ups are not going to be constant because they're dependent. So what happens when they go down? All that negative. Now, why do we mention only the downward? Because it is that actually propels us to find an answer, to find the peace back. Because
yeah.
when we are
Okay.
in the upward moment, we are not wanting to change it. We don't suspect that it is temporary. We don't suspect that this is not born from my real nature. This is not the real Sukh. This is also conditional Sukh. So all my good emotions, all the good moments, all the nice, that's why I said the starting of the introduction today, we go as a seesaw. The ups and the downs are both kind of two sides of a coin. You're actually on the same plank. So life gives us both. But the fact is, both of them are not my original nature. So they are bound to replace, and I am subject again at some other point to that. So what is Atma? Three states. Sakshi of three states. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Avastha. Avastha. Ha is the word. Ha means, in the root word means tishtati, rehna. Sthirta, stha, that something that holds. Avastha means something which is in held position. It's holding itself. States is the English term for it. What are those three which hold themselves? Waking, dream, and sushupti. Sushupti is the third. What is waking state is the question. First question. Waking state is that which is where Shrotradi Gyan Indriyaihi. Now you know this term very well. Shrotra Adi Gyan Indriya. Starting with Shrotra. Adi means what? Etc. Starting with Shrotra, ear. So what would etc. include? Eyes, nose, tongue, taste, and skin. Correct. Absolutely. Gyan Indriyas. The 5 Gyan Indriyas. When we did this, what are the 5 Gyan Indriyas? What is their Vishay? Tat Adi Vishayaischa. Vishayaihi cha. Vishayaihi is the plural. Cha is and. Where Shrotra Adi Gyan Indriyas and their respective Vishaya, sense objects, Jnayate, get known. Where you get to know the respective sense objects of their respective sense indriyas, organs. Where there is an interaction of the Gyan Indriya with their respective objects, bringing about the experience of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. It's one of the most illuminating definitions. Before we came to Vedanta, if anybody has been a little reflective in life and you have wondered when you wake up in the morning and you have ever wondered, how did I get up? मुझे तो ये प्रश्न अभी भी बड़ा exciting लगता है. When you wake up in the morning and you say, what pushed me to getting up? And then when you're going off to sleep, you ask yourself, what is pushing you to sleep? Where is this cycle originating from? I seem to have no control over it. Once I'm woken up, I think I'm a Maheshwari, I'm a Maheshwara, I have a lot of control over things, I do this, I want this. Once I've woken up, everything seems to be a different reality. But when I'm going to sleep, just a moment before I have gone to sleep, however much I am telling myself, I will not alter my state of reality. Watch my words. This waking reality that I'm experiencing now, after a few hours when I am going to sleep, I'm telling myself, Come what may, Deepti, you are not going to change alter the sense of reality. कुछ भी कर ले लेकिन इस sense of reality को बदलना नहीं है. मैं बोलते बोलते सो गई. What happened to my sense of reality there? Gone. It's completely replaced. It's sense of reality, and you got to pinch yourself hard at it. You got to really pinch yourself at this. You slap yourself, pinch yourself hard, do something to yourself to say, all this is so real. I'm hearing is real, I'm talking is real, I'm seeing is real, I'm smelling is real, I'm tasting is real, I'm feeling is real. This is so, so, so real. And if the question has preceded in your mind ever to say, what had pushed me to waking? And what is this waking state? Then here lies the answer in one line. For those who have the question, it may have been Janmo ka prashna, because nobody can answer this except Vedanta. What is this that push? What is called the waking state? That I have such a strong sense of reality over here. What is that actually? How do I define that? My waking period of time, my waking time. How do I define this? The definition is where your organs of perception, knowledge, Gyan Indriya, is actively engaged in activity, its own respective sense activity, and gaining its own experience of the respective Indriya. Remember in that class of Indriyas, when the gross body and the subtle body have the Indriyas, each Indriya only has one activity to do. It doesn't do two activities. आँख सिर्फ देखती ही है शब्द और रूप को. I'm sorry, रंग और रूप को. That means Shrotra Adi Indriya, when they have got activated, and when they are activated, they but natural respond to their own sense objects which they are related to, get knowledge of. Nayate, where they are known, Shabda Adi get known. Iti, that is the definition. Shrotradi Gyan Indriyaihi Shabdadi Vishayaischa Gnayate. Sa Jagrat Avastha. That is called waking state. What is further? Gnayate, like yesterday we said, knowledge is parallel to Chaitanyam. They are different words. Wherever there is that stream of light, go to yesterday's analogy, that stream of light functioning through your Gyanendriyas now, through those holes in the body, functioning through that, as if activated, whatever falling within it gets known to you. That is Jagrat Avastha. But this light Chaitanyam, which is functioning now through these Indriyas, and these Indriyas are activated where? This, where they are activated, that Avastha is the characteristic of what? Sthula Sharira Abhimani Atma. That light inside which is now fully expressing through the Sthula Sharir. And Sthula Sharir obviously means the Golakas are all opened up. All the holes are functional. And the Indriya has now got access, means access in the sense Indriya is now accessing it, through it. The light of Atma, knowledge, is expressing fully that Atma which is associated with Sthula Sharir, identified with Sthula Sharir. That Atma which is expressing functionally, manifest as if fully, expressing as Sharira Abhimani. I am this form. I am this body. That Atma is called Vishwa. And this Vishwa word is, the meaning of it means complete. What is in Hindi, what do we call Jagat? Another word for Jagat? Vishwa. What is Vishwa actually meaning? Something which is complete. Those who do Vishnu Sahasranama, what is the first word in Vishnu Sahasranama? Vishwam. Vishwam is the first word. Vishwam is Vishwa. What is the Jagat actually called? What is Jagat actually called? Vishwa. Now watch very carefully. Who is called Vishwa? Atma, functioning through, manifest fully. When it's completely manifest, there is the experience of Jagat. And what is the experience of Jagat? Bring it to the first line. The entire experience of Jagat is Gyan Indriyaihi functional, picking up its own respective knowledge. So the Atma, which is actually manifest fully in the Sthula Shariram, it's, literally the best analogy to only explain one point for it is, nowadays you have those lights with the dimmer lights you have. So, so you just kind of rotate it a little and then the light beams up, and then you rotate it opposite direction and it dims off. Now, what is actually waking? Atma expressing completely through the gross body. Full manifestation through its Indriyas. Through the Indriyas, not its, through the Indriyas. Means that light that you saw yesterday in those pot and then colorless glass, and then that light inside, has full expression up to the point of gross body. And what is its indicator that it has a full expression? Gyan Indriya is activated by that Atma. Of course, activated as in, now the beam of consciousness is picking up whatever's falling in its avenue, it's picking up knowledge of it. Indriyas are functional. So, Sthula Sharira Abhimani, when he actually is a arrogator. Abhimani means arrogation of the gross body. When Atma is in arrogation, not as we understand ego arrogation, this arrogation means association, identification. A good example of this would be Shastra's example. In some other context, it may come not in this text, it will come in some other texts, but I'm bringing that example. The example is of a crystal. When there is a crystal, a colorless crystal has no color. But when there is a blue flower, a blue lotus kept close to it, now what does a crystal look like? Blue. The blueness that the crystal is taking, looking blue, is actually not inherent to the crystal. But the association of the blue flower, lotus, with the crystal is giving the experience of blue crystal. Same way, Atma being colorless there, just light, pure, untouched, affected. But in association to the body, where gross body would obviously mean the Sukshma Sharir and the Karan Sharir, full manifestation. But natural, isn't it? Now that we have understood, you can't have a gross body without the subtle body without the causal body. Full manifestation of Atma through all the three layers, which is enabling the Indriyas to function, which is allowing the knowledge of the world, allowing the knowledge to happen of their respective sense objects. This Atma in this association with the body, Abhimani means association, only in this aspect it is called Vishwa. So actually speaking, this shortcut name Vishwa is, the traditional teachers would not allow anybody to be called Vishwa because it is an example of, but nobody believes real name should be associated with the Lord of Jagat, Atma, the Lord of Jagat. So it becomes Vishwanath. But people very conveniently use it in a shortcut name and reduce Vishwanath to Vishwa, which means it is now a limited entity. What is Vishwa? Atma associated, identified. There are very difficult English terms. You have to break the boundary of the words. Atma expressing fully through this Sthula Sharir. But to understand this, you have to be in touch with the book that has gone already past, the portion you've covered. What is Sthula Sharir made up of? That's why I started yesterday with its revision. What is Sthula Sharir made up of? Sat Karma Janya. Your own composition, whatever has been earned. What do you mean by your own and all that? Don't worry, you'll get all clarity at the end of it. All you need to understand at this point is, fully understand and capture it clearly, is this expression of Atma, which is otherwise limitless, but manifesting as if through a gross body, is termed, called Vishwa. Now, equate it again back to the waking world only. Example in the waking world. When a new child is born, newborn baby. In Indian tradition, the name was always kept keeping that Chaitanyam expressing through the body. You never give the name of the body because it's not the body that you are actually calling a name. The name is referring to this Chaitanyam now that is going to be abiding in this, claiming the body as me. I claim the body as me. There is the Chaitanyam which is now as if claiming for some period of time, as much as the Prarabdha has brought, ye ab sharir ka ye owner hai. Just as when we live somewhere, us ghar ke hum temporary owner hain. You are only a temporary owner of this body. That temporary owner of this body has a name. And what is the name? Look at the characteristic Vedanta gives us, helps us to understand. He says it's Vishwa, which means that your sense of individuality that you've owned up as yourself is actually as one with the world that you see. There is no differentiation between the world and you. Both of you woke up together as if. जैसे आप उठे थे, in your experience, did you get up first and then your eyes started functioning? Did you get up first and then your ears started functioning? After I had my tea, my ears started functioning. I heard sounds after my morning tea. That means my taste came first and then my ear came. Or my smell came first, then my eye came. Or my eyes came first, then my ear came, then my nose came, and then we are having a telephone WhatsApp conversation. Which one of yours came first today? Did your ear also come first and then eyes? Or no, my eye came first today. Which one? Are we doing like that? Any one of us ever is going to do like that? Look at the magnitude of this experience and the absolute joy if you understand this. My God, when I woke, what I call as waking up is the entire expression of Sthula Sharira Abhimani is non-separate from my experience of the world. The minute I wake up in the experience of the world. There is no distinction between this me and that world. This is one experience. Me and the world is one experience. They are simultaneous. There is no division. That me, this, what I call as now the waker in that restricted sense, jiska naam hai. My name is say Deepti, and then when I go to sleep, name gone for that time being. So if I'm very fast asleep, also if someone calls me gently, I am not going to respond to you because I value my sleep more. You go call me, unless you hit me hard, I'm not going to wake you. You slap me and then I'll say, now the minute you slapped me, what happened? The Indriya, that Atma, which was rest, that's why people in tradition would say, koi sota hai, usko jagao mat. I don't know about what the modern time says, but traditional, because this is a vision of the tradition. The culture, Indian culture was around all this. You cannot separate Atma from this. You cannot treat it like an individual being. That is why Namaste. What is Namaste? Namaha Te. What is Namaha? I bow down. I respect that this conscious entity over there, you are a conscious entity, you are Atma, you are not this name and form with which I'm going to do Vyavhar. Okay, for Vyavhar, I'm going to contact your name and form, you will contact my name and form. Vyavharik Drishti will be different. But while I'm contacting your Vyavharik Drishti, with a Vyavharik Drishti, I cannot forget your Swarupa Drishti. I cannot forget the Swarupa. This is the reason also I have mentioned in the past many times why in our culture everybody wore a bindi. Everyone had a bindi, men, women alike. Why? Because when you look at someone in their eye, your eye actually falls in the center. Your vision falls over here. Don't worry about the chakras and all that. That's not our vision over here. That's not our line of thought. That will be another line of thought. We don't employ that line of thought. All that we mean to say is that this person here, that person there, these are not individuals. They are not individuals. They are not limited as you and I would believe ourselves to be. Ones who know this knowledge, they clearly know. While you and I will interact for the sake of living, we will interact with our body and our names and everything. We cannot forever, for a moment, we will not forget who your Swarupa is. The Swarupa Drishti is Atma is functioning here. And functioning is not of Atma like, you have a motor car functioning, etc. The functioning means it's fully manifested in a gross body now. Wherever there is, that is why life is precious. Any life is precious, and human life is rarely precious. It's an amazement how we have lost sight of most of these things in society. That Atma, through the expression of physical body, this Atma is called Vishwa, and that Vishwa it's called is because it is You see yourself and the world in one perception the minute you wake up. This point, if you get, you've got 1/4 of Mandukya Upanishad. The entire Upanishad essence is now begun. This is waking state. Thula Sharira Abhimani Atma Vishwa Uchyate is called Vishwa. And then that means now, just to finish it off in a line, where these organs of knowledge, Gyanendriya, are activated to receive their respective information, that state is called Jagrat. You can now, before you go into the Swapna, you can deduce to some extent what will be the dream state then, where the Gyan Indriya is not fun. तभी तो वो दूसरा स्टेट होगा ना. अगर वहां पे भी ज्ञान इंद्रिय चल रही है तो फिर it is a waking state. Why is it a different state, completely a different order of reality? It is an entirely different state of my experience. An experience where now I'll just start touching upon it. An experience where these sense organs, Gyanendriya, is not operative. In my dream, Gyanendriya is not operative. You know, yesterday night I had a dream that I was caught up. Okay. Someone's just had actual experience where a whole forest is on fire. And when there is a forest on fire, in their waking state, supposing I have this experience of, I dream about a forest fire and I'm in a hut somewhere close by, log wood I am staying in, and there is a forest fire. I see a forest fire in my waking state. Okay, and it's given me palpitations, it's given me fear, it's given me horripilations, it's given me every kind of emotion possible. And I dreamt, I slept, I dreamt again of a forest fire. Was it the same eyes that saw it? Yet did I not experience a forest fire in my dream? But this Indriya was not operative there. But there was an experience that I can fully say I had a dream. When I woke up again, I say I had a dream. Means in my dream, I was having another order of reality. There was another experience with another order of reality. This order of reality was not functioning in dream order of reality. And my dream order of reality that we all know in waking, we dismiss it anyway. If you followed this line of thought, you will also get the answer that many times we ask, why is it that we dismiss dream so easily, but we don't dismiss waking? Waking seems to be our firm reality, not dream. Because full expression of Atma is in waking through the Indriya. So my order of reality is more firm in the waking. But in dream, what is a dream state? I'll just introduce one line, then we'll catch up fresh next week because it's a whole topic in itself. Jagrat avasthayam yad drishtam yad shrutam. कुछ समझ में आ रहा होगा आपको. जागृत अवस्था में रहते हुए जो देखा जो सुना, means functional waking state. tat janit, उससे उत्पन्न हुआ, with that waking experience was born what? Vasnaya, some impression that I carried of that experience. That's why I said that Vasna word is very rarely used. It just comes, that experience is held within me as an impression, but natural. That's how I know it. No, my mind is like, and remember that sponge, and we said everything goes inside, and there is nothing that is not registered in the mind. It's all held there. Vasnaya, nidra samaye, nidra ke samay, in sleep state, yaha prapanchaha, prapanchaha, that world, prapanch is another word for world, and panch is actually five. Five is dhatus referring to it. So this is a sthula prapanch. In dream, the prapancha pratiyate, which world that you felt, you saw, you experienced, pratiyate was seen, imagined, or felt, experienced. Sa swapna avastha. That is swapna avastha. Whatever impression of the waking you have carried, in your sleep state, those impressions manifest a little. That little at the time of sleep, they just emerge in a little shoot, like shooting stars. They just shoot up the strong impressions. That's why I give strong dreams. Some people have recurring dreams. There's no need to analyze all of those dream world questions. We will take. That's what is important in Vedanta is that swapna avastha, this indriya and this sharir was not operative. Where was that world coming from? Vasana janit. Where has the vasana come from? From the Jagrat Avastha experience. I have only collected my impressions. जो मेरे अंदर रखा है ना मैंने, वही फूटे ऊपर. जैसा मैंने सोचा है, जैसा मैंने अनुभव किया है, जो मैंने रखा है, बस उसी में से a dream world is generated. Pratiyate. I have seen a whole dream world. I think we'll end it over here today, because to complete it means where the sthula sharir is now not operative, ज्ञान इंद्रिया का नहीं चल रही, तो स्थूल शरीर आपका diminished हो गया. You know that knob, so that bright light has got diminished a little. So Atma is not fully in contact with the gross body, but it is expressing only through the subtle body. Sukshma Sharira Abhimani. That Atma expressing through Sukshma Sharira is called Taijasa. So what is our common name? If you get me correct, what is our common name in the waking state?
Vishwa.
We all have a common name, Vishwa. What is our common name in this dream state? Taijasa. What is our unique name in the waking state? Unique name. Your own name. You are Divya, you are Akanksha, you are Priyanka, that is your unique name, referring to only your waking world. This is not your identity. Closer identity, all of us is a Vishwa, Atma functioning through this. That's common to all of us. And all of us, we don't have a unique dream name. We have unique dreams, but we don't have a unique dream name because there is no sthula sharira. It is only expressing through sukshma sharira. That Atma is Taijasa. Therefore, actually the name and everything is already not taken into account. The name of the individual, etc. And then he will come to Sushupti Avastha. But we'll cover this once again in the next class. Let's end the class. And yes, Priyanka. We can't hear you.
Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी। देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
You everyone.